Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of AEWeekly. Today, we're going to be covering the Dynamite 25th of July episode, all the way through to the 28th of July episode. That will be including Blood and Guts on Dynamite. I won't be talking about the Ring of Honor Death Before Dishonor pay-per-view here, although I highly recommend you go and watch it. Incredible pay-per-view, exactly what you expect from a Ring of Honor show. And I will also not be talking about Battle of the Belts as well. I will mention one or two things from both. So I'll try and, if I do remember to say like a little spoiler thing so you can skip it, if you want to go and watch it and still be surprised. If not, then lock in, because I have so much about this week. There's just like Dynamite was crazy, Rampage, a lot happened, Collision, nothing much happened, but still ton of stuff to talk about. So, without further ado, let's get straight into it with Dynamite, July 25th, Blood and Guts. So, this show starts with a little like comedy angle kind of thing, with Ospreay's car, slashed tires basically as he's trying to get to the venue to confront MJF, who is at this time, after supposedly slashing his tires, we get a special entrance from MJF with cheerleaders, pretty much just parading him down to the ring for this title celebration, winning the title of Ospreay the week prior on Dynamite. Basically, does the usual gloating MJF thing, says stuff like, "I beat Will Ospreay without breaking a sweat." Then he does the unusual stuff and starts talking about Will's dead grandma and that he can be buried next to that fat skank after he beats him again. After all of this, MJF throws the international title in the bin, saying it's garbage, just like Danny Garcia, Willie Boy, and all the white trash brokies in the crowd, really getting back into his heel gimmick. I really liked this segment. And after he throws this international title into the bin outside the ring, he then unveils the new American title with confetti raining in like the American colors, red, white, and blue, and then an American flag drops down, but instead of stars, it's MJF's face on them. From the rafters, like covering both rings, is absolutely incredible. What a title celebration. I loved this segment. It gets cut short though, because Will Ospreay then runs in on the celebration, announces the rematch Sunday, August 25th, Will Ospreay versus MJF 2, all in Wembley Stadium for the American belt. After this, Will Ospreay then takes the international title out of the bin. Hold on. Really hope they do a like a Sami Zayn intercontinental title, when he didn't technically lose it, came back with it, and it was sort of like a unification belt. Either that, or they do it like the CM Punk Real World Champion belt. Either way, really fun. Looking forward to that. I really hope we see Will Ospreay with the international belt still, while MJF has the American belt. I feel like that'll be a fun dynamic. But moving on from this, we then get a backstage promo with the Elite, and pretty much them just saying how they're going to do the, like, who gets advantage in the Steel Cage Blood and Guts match later on. This is done by a coin flip, a rigged coin, I might add, while they're standing over Christopher Daniels, huddled on the ground. Obviously, with every coin, the Elite win this, they get the advantage going into Blood and Guts. Pretty much expected that this was going to happen. After this, we then have a Learning Tree Chris Jericho versus Minoru Suzuki for the For the World title. Now, this match was amazing, which I didn't think I'd ever say about a Chris Jericho match, but here we are, big 2024. He had a great match. Granted, it is Minoru Suzuki. And you'll see why it was a great match very soon as I get into this. So it starts with a big chop fest at the center, just both of them going at it, neither backing down. to the point where Jericho has taken so many chops to the chest that his like chest right here starts to get cut open and bleeds down onto the back. Really sick visual. Now this happens, then it carries on. About 6 minutes now, still chopping each other constantly. No one has had a break yet. It's just been constant chops back and forth. They're just laughing at each other. After this, then it's 10 minutes go by. Still non-stop chopping until Jericho collapses to his knees and then stands back up to shout at Suzuki and continue chopping him. After this, we then get Chop Forever chants from the crowd as Jericho collapses again to his knees. Suzuki shows no pain whatsoever during all of this, which is great. Then they've carried on with more chops to the point where Jericho's wound splits open and it flows from his pec down to his stomach then. Really fucking sick visual. But shortly after this, the chop fest gets broken up by Jericho being the first to break it with a kick to the midsection following a clothesline, or followed by a clothesline. After this, we then get Suzuki clapping Jericho in an armbar over the ropes, where it's like pretty much upside down, so his head is on the apron. If that makes sense, and Jericho's arm is over the top rope, which is quite fun. Then later on, they get spill out to the outside. Suzuki traps Jericho's hand in between a chair, like basically like you used to be able to do in the old WWE games with their leg. Picture that, but with the hand instead. Gets it in between a chair, hits it with another chair, sort of like a concerto, to snap Jericho's fingers, or to break his fingers, sorry. Then he proceeds to snap his fingers, to which a fan behind the announce desk screams, "Break it in half!" Which I thought was fucking amazing. They do some more brawling, get back into the ring. Then Jericho hits a codebreaker out of nowhere. Surprise codebreaker, was really fun. But Suzuki kicks out of one immediately. Unfortunately, though, Jericho then wins with a low blow into the Judas effect, getting him the win. After this, Suzuki hits Jericho with a pile driver. At the end of the match afterwards, to which the Bad Apple Brian Keith and the Redwood Big Bill to attack Suzuki until Shibata, of all people, come to Suzuki's aid, saving him from the Learning Tree and Chris Jericho. Which, quite an interesting thing. Everybody hates Jericho so much, even Shibata and Suzuki are teaming up, obviously. Lengthy history in Japan being rivals to there's really cool story beats. Amazing match, really, really fun. Highly recommend you go and watch it. It was just great the whole way through. Next up, though, we don't have a match. We have a Renee Paquette interview with the new, as of last week, CMLL Women's Champion, Willow Nightingale. It gets cut short, however, because Stokely Hathaway interrupts, and then Chris sidelines her, and then slams her onto those, like TV crew boxes, the ones that open up, they go, like, the equipment in. One of those boxes. To which, after this, Stokely announces in that same segment that there will be an eliminator match for next week's Dynamite for the newly won CMLL Women's title, Chris Statlander versus Willow Nightingale. If Chris wins, she then gets a shot at it, assumingly at Wembley. Really hope that's where the feud's going, because that would be just a great way to blow it off for the CMLL Women's title as well. Get some eyes on CMLL again. Following this, after the little ad break, we then get another Renee Paquette interview with Danielson from early on that day, where Jeff Jarrett comes over they're basically just talking about the Owen Hart win. Jeff Jarrett comes over to congratulate Danielson, saying that when he lost, he felt ashamed, terrible about himself, and that Danielson was the perfect winner when it couldn't be him, and that so many people relying on him, so many people are looking up to him. This is his moment. He needs to seize it at Wembley. Just a really, really good, heartfelt moment between the two. That was just, honestly, a great promo. Was surprised Jeff Jarrett, when he isn't the top guy in the company, actually really, really good. It's almost like he's a mid-card. But regardless, moving on from this, great set of promos back to back. We then get a Britt Baker DMD match versus Hikaru Shida. Pretty much great match all around. The main things that happen in this, there's an amazing running knee strike by Shida as Britt's like, she's like hanging over the apron, kind of, where like just her head is over the apron. And so Shida runs along the outside of the ring and just jumps straight up into her head with the knee. Really, really fun. After this, we then get like a great exploder counter by Shida when Britt Baker is trying to lift up Shida in the corner. Then following, we then get great back-to-back neck breakers, which ended with a swing blade by Britt Baker, just quite high octane stuff. And then this all comes to a head when Hikaru Shida taps out to the lockjaw as Britt Baker points and stares straight at the camera. Whole match working on that neck breakers, the swing blade. Eventually, the lockjaw gets them the win. After this, the CEO, Mercedes Moné, proceeds to come out after the match to say that she won't give Britt the title shot at Wembley, as she was the only one who could not get one, as far as she's concerned. And in response to this outrage from Britt Baker, Camille comes back to attack Britt. Camille hits a great big root to the face, followed by a long torture rack, just like going all the way around the ring for about like 10-15 seconds. Really fun looking. Not fun looking. I would not want to take this. You know what I mean. Pardon me, sorry, I've just eaten. So that was really fun development. I hope this means that Camille will become sort of like a bodyguard for Mercedes Moné. I would have wanted Nyla Rose in this position, but Camille works great as well. Either way, I'm happy. We get somebody who's not really on TV much get into that sort of like big role, which would be quite fun. Speaking of big roles, we then have a patriarchy promo backstage where Chris Jericho, is holding the belts as he did in TNA. He is holding all 3 belts, just holding them across his chest. It'll probably be the thumbnail for this video. Really, really fun way to hold them. Then he says that Nick Wayne gets the chance to shoot his own promo now. He's earned it. To which Nick Wayne officially enters the Royal Rampage match, which happens on Rampage on Friday night, to become the #1 contender for the AEW World title. That's what the winner gets from that match, which we'll get to obviously a little bit down the line. Next up, we have a nothing match, just a squash match really to get Pac on the card versus the Iron Savages Boulder. Iron Savages being the faction this guy's a part of. Pretty much just like a jobber faction. All I can really say is Pac wins with a brainbuster in the middle of the ring. That's about it. It's like 2 minutes long. In between this and the next squash match, we've got a Team AEW promo backstage. Pretty much just saying Swerve's the leader, to which Darby Allin takes issue with, saying that Swerve isn't his leader. This isn't about Swerve leading. It's about Team AEW being the elite. He's not going to forgive him for what happened. Obviously, very heated rivalry these guys have had in the past. Then more members start arguing, and we see pretty much just general dissent among Team AEW. It's quite interesting that they're only doing this like now, just before the event. I feel like if you were going to do this, you would do it a few weeks ago and sort of like build to this moment then. But all of this comes to a head when Mark Briscoe then brings them all together again, being his usual charismatic self, getting everybody back on side onto the same team against Team Elite. Before we get to the Team Elite, though, we've got to talk about our next squash match on the card, which was the Glamour Mariah May versus Caitlin Alexis, where Mariah May walks down with the Owen Hart belt and Tony's shoe, which I thought was quite fun. And then pretty much just, this is a statement match more than anything else. Starts it really quick, isn't messing around anymore, runs to do a drop kick and goes to the top rope and runs to do a drop kick, then enters the top rope, then does a missile drop kick straight away, right out that bat as soon as the bell rings. After this, Mariah May hits a Mayday but doesn't pin, and instead, which I thought was quite fun, wins off a hip attack and a Storm Zero, Tony Storm's classic finishing combo maneuver. Now this doesn't go down well, because then Tony Storm's music hits. We all think she's going to run out, but instead, it was Mariah May playing a trick on us. Until Tony Storm comes behind her as a security guard, takes off the hat, reveals it's her. Then they pretty much, Mariah May slow turn around, as you do in this situation. Both start running at each other. They have to be restrained in each corner of the ring as Tony Storm grabs a mic and screams, Mariah, are you ready to die? Because I am. So good. An amazing segment. This is genuinely the best storyline they've got leading into Wembley Stadium. And honestly, I would say the best storyline. For me, it's been the... If this ends off well, this will be the best storyline of the year for me. Even better than the Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns angle. Just because I absolutely adore this setup for it. Been doing amazing work. Okay. Talking about amazing work, we now need to talk about the Blood and Guts match, which is a separate section of my notes, to give you an example of just how fucking insane this match was, and how much I have to talk about. Like, this is real wall of text territory. I'll try and make this as cohesive as I can, while trying to get through it as quick as I can at the same time, but I just want to say I apologise if some things don't make a lot of sense, or if it's a bit hard to follow. I'm going to try my best. But no, you're still laying it. Here we go. The match starts, or doesn't start. The first entrant enters for Team Elite, facing Darby Allin, is going to be Jack Perry. So Jack Perry comes out with the scapegoat mask, and also a chair with scapegoat like spray painted onto it, basically. Then, as I said, Darby Allin comes out next to face him. He comes out... Pardon me again, sorry. He comes out with a skateboard, with thumbtacks on the bottom of it, which I thought was really cool, like in between the two wheels on the back side. Although he doesn't get to get into the ring because Jack Perry then attacks Darby as he enters the cage with the scapegoat chair, sending him out into the ramp section, and power bombs Darby into the cage. And then eventually the fight like spills out into the crowd a little bit, gets hit by bins, all that sort of stuff. They then, as they enter back into the ring, Jack Perry attacks Darby with a bin and then chokes him with a bit of rope that was inside it. Then sets up the bin into the corner, like in between the turnbuckles. Lone darts Darby's head straight into that. He absolutely launches him into this. It looks so sick, to the point where the bin is then stuck in between the ropes. He can't get it out the normal way, like the way that he came to put it back in, and so he just slams it down to go around the ropes instead, because he just can't get it out. It's a really, really good visual for it. Now, Darby Allin's Pain and Misery seems to stack up again after Nick Jackson then enters the match. The Team Elite getting the man advantage in. He comes out with a chair and a suitcase as well, with his first attack being a sort of like a team move with Jack Perry into like a guillotine leg drop, where he'll be like holding Darby Allin over his knee, then Perry will hit the leg drop on neck in the guillotine leg drop fashion. After this, Darby gets caught in between the cage and the ring after a big punt kick by Nick Jackson, as they pull up Darby to dropkick him with the bin. Basically, Jackson's holding the bin up next to Darby, and then Jack Perry does the dropkick into the bin. That sends him flying down again. But he isn't alone for long, because then we have Mark Briscoe entering the match. To save Darby, he runs straight in and starts 1v2ing Jack Perry and Nick Jackson with the redneck kung fu that he does. After this, Nick Jackson gets launched into a ladder into the corner and goes sort of upside down and just drapes over it. Really, really sick. Drapes over the ladder, not the turnbuckle. This sort of like even playing field doesn't last long though, because then Matthew Jackson, completing the Young Bucks double, enters the match carrying yet another briefcase, who basically throws the case to Nick Jackson as he distracts Mark Briscoe at the like cage door so Nick can attack him with the case, and then Matthew hits a brainbuster to Darby on the briefcase, breaking its corner, which is fucking gnarly as shit. It was so cool looking. Following this, they fight a bit more until Anthony Bowens enters the match, just releases an absolute flurry onto the Young Bucks, and then hits a famous on Jack Perry before getting spiked by the briefcase. I believe by Matthew Jackson. I think to be honest, I cannot remember, and I always get those two mixed up anyway. So we're gonna say Matthew Jackson. It's not gonna be great for Matthew in a minute though, because Darby hits a Scorpion Death Drop onto Matthew, and then hits Matthew with the skateboard that the tacks are underneath onto Matthew's back. Then, following this, Anthony Bowens then starts attacking Jack Perry with scissors, sort of like the pizza cutter thing that happened a few years ago with Chris Jericho. For this time with scissors, and then like opens the scissors up and puts them into like not into his mouth, but like around the outside of his mouth, pushing against him. Which looked, oh my god, it looked horrible to take. I don't know how his mouth didn't start bleeding from that. That was absolutely. After this, talking about nuts, Okada enters next carrying the Rainmaker Drive sign, attacking each member with it, and then pile drives Briscoe into the sign just before hitting a low blow and a drop kick with a chair to Briscoe as well. Again, like holding up the chair and then hitting the drop kick into it, just like the bin earlier on. This then proceeds to get the Young Bucks and Team Elite "Fuck the Young Bucks" chants, which are then followed by "They can't hear you" chants, which is quite fun. You have half the crowd saying "Fuck you, Young Bucks," and the other half saying "They can't hear you," as the Young Bucks start going, "We can't hear you, what are you saying?" Really fun. Then we get Briscoe proceeding to chop Okada a few times, to which Okada just no-sells all of it, until Max Caster then comes out, rushes in with a mic, and attacks Okada with the mic as well. Then everyone else with his, like the chain that he wears around his neck. And then proceeds to hit Perry and Okada with a chair repeatedly. My apologies, sorry. Where am I? Oh, fuck. Okay, I found one. Really is a wall of text. So after this, Max Caster brings out a barbed wire board. It's pretty much just like a wooden board with barbed wire wrapped on one side of it. If you've seen death matches, you've probably seen this board before, to be honest. It gets used quite a lot. But it gets out the wire board as they try to get Okada hit on it, but the Young Bucks come to save him because Okada is not taking a barbed wire bump in his life. Until they then hit Bowens onto the barbed wire before putting another barbed wire board on top of him, so he's got one on his back, one on his stomach as he's laying down, but Nick Jackson to swanton him into this barbed wire board sandwich, which, oh my god, it looked horrible to take. You can't gimmick that. You just have to take, and like, full respect to Anthony Bowens this match, man. He put on an absolute shift. Same with Max Caster. I thought Max Caster was going to be sort of like a letdown this match, but no, he did fucking incredibly as well. Everyone did, to be honest. Speaking of Max Caster, we then have a moment where the Elite get thumbtacks out following the attack on Bowens with the barbed wire and fill Max Caster's mouth with the thumbtacks as the Young Bucks do their like pump up super kick to him. Pretty much reminiscent of what happened in the women's tag death match on Rampage a couple of months back, before Willow and Chris split up. Okay, there we go. Hangman Adam Page then is set to enter. Music plays and everything, but doesn't show up. Now this confuses the Team Elite. They get distracted. They drop the ball. And they then get attacked from behind by Team AEW, giving them the chance to sort of turn the tables on them, and turn the tables they do for a moment, because Anthony Bowens wraps the barbed wire around his leg and then hits Nick Jackson with a Sesame Timbers with the barbed wire leg. This man is insane, and I love him. He's great. After this, though, we then get Swerve entering the match. Hangman's still nowhere to be seen until he gets to the cage entrance, where Hangman runs out with the chair and just clocks him in the back of the head, and then proceeds to handcuff Swerve to the outside of the ring. As then Hangman then finally steps into the ring, but not before getting berated by Matthew Jackson, I believe, to get into the ring, stop like fighting Swerve and like talking to Swerve, or else you're going to be fired. Because this whole time, Hangman Adam Page is just in Swerve's face, shouting at him, saying, "You never deserve that title. He doesn't deserve this. Never did. He's going to eat him alive." All while Swerve is cuffed up. Matthew says you're fired, but by the way, with a live microphone, which is quite fun. Sort of showing like dissent between the two sort of sides, where you've got the Hangman Adam Page and then the Elite. Obviously not fully into the Elite as Matthew and Nicholas Jackson may want others to see, which carries on later into the match with a very interesting visual thing, which I will get to when it comes up. So after this, Hangman finally does enter the ring, screams at Matthew, saying that he got Swerve and that was the deal, until Okada squares up to him, basically, and pushes him away, hinting maybe that we're going to get a feud between the two in the future. I would fucking love that. That would be amazing. During this little distraction, Team AEW then attack them as they argue, and Briscoe attacks Hangman with the barbed wire board. After this, every member of each team is pretty much just fighting each other with weapons, as Matthew taunts Swerve and spits in his face as well. And then after this happens, and they're all like fighting in their respective things, I get to the other part, which shows sort of a bit of dissent between Team Elite visually, which I thought was really, really fun. So the camera does a slow zoom out, basically, to show both rings and everybody fighting in them. In the left-hand side ring, you've got all of the Team Elite beating down Max Caster and Darby Allin, while Hangman Adam Page stands on his own, literally the only one standing on his own, or the only one left standing in the right ring, as Mark Briscoe and Anthony Bowens are in that ring fighting him. They've both been laid out by him. He's the only one left standing. Just a really, really fun and interesting visual way to tell that Hangman isn't really with the Elite as much as they want people to think he is. But after this cool little camera work, Jeff Jarrett comes down with Billy Gunn to save Swerve, but the Young Bucks assistant tries to stop him. I cannot remember his name, sorry. Basically, tries to stop him, but then Jeff Jarrett pretty much just hits him with the guitar, puts his head through the guitar, which is quite fun. After this, then Billy Gunn and Jeff Jarrett proceed, and Prince Nana then rescue Swerve with bolt cutters, which then Swerve uses those bolt cutters to cut a hole into the cage, doesn't even go through the door, and finally enters the match to officially start the match and just completely take out all of Team Elite, barring Hangman, who is still in the other ring, as they then stare each other down, being the only members left standing of each team. They slowly enter the no man's land in between both rings, and then they just start launching a barrage of punches out at each other, just really wailing on each other the whole time. Really, really fun segment there. After this, They then spill into the ring. A Hangman pushes the barbed wire into the face of Swerve for Darby to save him with a code red after this then. So, like, Swerve's on the floor, Hangman's pushing it in, and then Darby then hits a code red on Hangman to save Swerve. After this, Swerve then pulls out a stapled gun that was used in the Texas Death Match and tries to staple Hangman's face until Nick Jackson saves him. Matthew Jackson then opens the briefcase, or one of the briefcases, which holds four staple guns. As they just start stapling Swerve all over again. Swerve's response to this, however, is to slowly stand up and just start maniacally laughing as he proceeds to counter the Young Bucks, staple their faces. Jack Perry tries to hit Swerve, but Swerve counters with a backbreaker and staples the neck, like, at the same time as the backbreaker gets hit, or just after it. Then Okada tries to hit the Rainmaker, but pulls the middle finger move to him. Which Swerve then staples the middle finger, which I thought was a really fun way to sort of give, like, Okada a bit of a bump, but not really. Kind of a good way to, like, circumvent that issue. After this, Hangman then gets involved, tries to hit the buckshot lariat, but Swerve dodges, staples Hangman's cheek, and then Hangman and Swerve exit the cage. They're brawling the whole way up. They go up to the ramp, go up onto the stage bit. Then they go, like, behind to the right-hand side of one of the tunnels on the right side of the set. Gets him into a sleeper chokehold. Hangman gets him... Swerve gets Hangman into a sleeper chokehold. Rear naked choke, that's the word. But Hangman counters this by jumping from the stage off into two tables, with obviously Swerve being behind him. He gets hit by the tables first. After this, then the Young Bucks and the Acclaimed then also exit. Everybody's starting to exit the ring now. They start fighting outside the ring as the Young Bucks position tables just around the, like, corner edge of the ring, around the cage. Apologies. There's 4 in total. It's like the 2-on-2 stack. You've got 2, and then another 2 on top to make 4 tables in total. Which, after this, I believe it's Nick Jackson that climbs up. Yeah, so the Young Bucks put Anthony Bowens in between all 4 tables. As Nick Jackson climbs to the top of the cage. Max Caster then saves his good friend Anthony Bowens, who then proceeds to climb up after Nick Jackson as they fight on the corner scaffolding of the cage. A really, really fun visual. Although, during this fight, then we have Nick Jackson winning the fight by hitting Bowen's head right into the side of the steel cage, causing him to basically just ragdoll fall into all 4 tables. Although we don't have any time to sit and wait, we then cut back straight to the ring for Mark Briscoe to hit a J-Driller on all 4 members of Team Elite except for Hangman after they all get back into the ring. Following this, we then have Jack Perry placed on a table in the other ring. Matthews put on one in No Man's Land as Mark Briscoe hits an elbow onto Matthew in the No Man's Land bit. And then Darby, in a great show of athleticism after, like, just coming back from injury, monkey bar climbs all his way up the cage, along the top of the steel cage, so he's hanging over Jack Perry on the table in the center of the right ring, and does a coffin drop onto the table. It looked absolutely incredible. It was so fun. After Jack Perry gets hit by this, Max Caster then brings out the other briefcase that the Young Bucks brought in to reveal another set of handcuffs. Briscoe proceeds to cuff Jack Perry to the wall of the cage on the inside as he starts just hitting Jack Perry with a kendo stick, asking if he wants to quit the match. Jack Perry constantly refuses after everything being thrown at him. He also hits Jack Perry with the scapegoat chair, just completely destroying it, while Darby Allin goes under the ring, gets a gas can and a lighter as well, and covers Jack Perry in gasoline. Basically, he then gets a mic at some point during this and then says, I'm going to light his ass on fire if he doesn't quit and give me a title shot for the TNT belt, something along those lines. Darby Allin Jack Perry responds to this by spitting in Darby Allin's face, to which Matthew Jackson then pleads to Darby to stop while he is cuffed up to the opposite side of the ring, and then quits the match for Team Elite to save Jack Perry. Darby Allin is about to light this fucker on fire. And then that leads to the end of the match. The end of the Blood and Guts 2024 match. What a match. This was so good. I probably did not do it justice. I implore you, go and watch this match. It's like an hour long, granted, but it's so much fun from start to bottom, like every Blood and Guts match is. It's also, arguably, I'd say this is one of the more sort of like tame ones compared to the previous Blood and Guts matches that we've had. And it's nice to see one without the Blackpool Combat Club or without Moxley or Danielson. Really nice to see one without Moxley, just so we've got that bit of variety. Not anything against Moxley, he rightfully needs the rest. It's just nice to see that we can have this caliber of match without those people and without the classic sort of like deathmatch kind of people. Although we did have Swerve and Hangman in this match, and the Young, but regardless, still really fun match. Highly suggest you go. You've probably already watched this. If you haven't, what are you doing? Unless you haven't got time, and that's why you're here. And I hope you have been able to get a good enough gist out of my mad ramblings for this one. Yeah, Team Elite win Blood and Guts. Team AEW win Blood and Guts. I apologize. Oh, can't stop here though, because we've got Royal Rampage on Rampage, July 27th, Friday night. These dates, by the way, might be the day before for you if you're in America, because it airs for us at like 1 a.m. or 3 a.m. the next day, and that's when I've put it down, so I know when it is according to when it's airing. So the dates may be wrong by a day. But anyway, regardless. So this is, again, in the two ring setup. Basically, it's a battle royale where you've got two different rings. Every time somebody enters, they either go in the left ring or the right ring. It's chosen beforehand which one, so basically you get the double the amount of people, essentially. Pardon me, sorry. So there's quite a bit to talk about in this match, again, which I'll try and get through quickly. I'm mainly just going to go through who enters the match, who gets knocked out by who, any cool, interesting spots that happen along the way. Let's get right into it. The match starts with Orange Cassidy and Claudio Castagnoli, Brody King, and Commander. So Cassidy goes against Brody King, and then Claudio goes against Commander in their respective rings. I realise now I haven't said which side of the rings they enter on when new people come in. That would have been good to write down. Oh well, it's too late now. And I'm not going back 40 minutes into this recording. Okay. So I'm just going to... Apologies, I'm just going to have to go with it anyway. Tomorrow, Ishii enters the match, followed by Brian Cage. Brian Cage counters a springboard by Commander by lifting him up, pretty much catching him, and then sending him into a Uranagi, which I thought was a really fun counter. Following this, the Butcher then enters the match, who teams up with Brody King to sandwich the opposition, basically anybody who's put in front of them. Then we get a little fun little commentary bit. So Daddy Magic is on commentary. He's up next. He's entering the Royal Rampage match. Enters the ring immediately, doesn't mess around, goes in, does the 10 corner punches to Claudio, then takes the fight to Brian Cage before Commander comes to Cage's rescue. I thought it was really fun. I love Daddy Magic being in this match. I think it's a great idea to put him in this match while he's on commentary. Following this, we then get Roddy Strong to enter the ring as he destroys... Roddy Strong enters the ring and immediately attacks Cassidy and Tomohiro Ishii. The person who destroys everybody is the next person, which is Kip Sabian. as he enters the ring, destroying everybody with cannonballs and running knees all over the place. He is on the Claudio Castagnoli side. I remember that much. Brandon Cutler then comes out, who is the Young Bucks assistant. That was his name from Blood and Guts previously. Pretty much, he's meant to get into the ring next, gets a mic, delivers a promo, and immediately gets taken out of the match by Tomohiro Ishii over the top rope. As soon as he gets put into the match, essentially. After this, we then get Nick Wayne enter the ring next. Immediately, as he said, he goes straight towards Kip Sabian, and the two just start running circles around each other, countering everything, all of that. Really, really fun moment. Unfortunately, following this, Daddy Magic is eliminated by Brian Cage. But then, fortunately, we then get Kyle O'Reilly to enter the ring next, as he zeroes in straight onto Roddy Strong, saving, I believe, Cassidy, who was getting attacked by him. And after Daddy Magic is eliminated, he goes back to the commentary desk, naturally. Following this, we then get Jeff Jarrett entering the ring. Then, one of the more fun spots in the match, the conglomeration, who at this point in the ring is Tomohiro Ishii, Kyle O'Reilly, and Orange Cassidy. They all start to do their triple rope attack, where one does a chop, one does a kick, one does a chop. All of that to attack the Butcher, when Brody King joins in and eliminates the Butcher. Following this, Matt Taven then enters the match as well, as Commander gets eliminated by Nick Wayne at the same time. Jay Lethal comes out next, which following this, Nick Wayne gets eliminated by Kip Sabian, as it cuts backstage to the Patriarchy looking on in disappointment. They kind of blame Killswitch for this for some reason. I don't know why, but they blame Killswitch for it regardless. But next, Mike Bennett then comes out to enter the ring, who immediately goes straight for Kyle O'Reilly, Cassidy, and Ishii. Then the Beast Mortos comes in, which I was fucking mad surprised at this. Me and Noah watched this at the same time, and we just couldn't believe it. Because the Beast Mortos is incredible. We love him. He destroys Brian Cage and Jay Lethal with a Samoan drop. Beautiful wrestling from the Beast Mortos. After this, Kip Sabian then gets eliminated by Lethal and Jarrett. Then Darby Allin enters the match, who pretty much immediately gets in, hits a sleeper hold on Brody King, but gets lone darted by Brody King into the corner as the two spill outside, not being eliminated because they went under the bottom rope. Then, as they're out there, Leo Rush enters the match next, as the camera cuts to Brody and Darby going up the stairs into the fans area where they're all seated. Darby Allin gets launched onto the metal steps of the ring as well, as they get back closer to the ring until they eventually re-enter the ring. They pretty much just went out into the fans to brawl for a little bit, just carrying on this little feud thing they've got going on, kind of rivalry. But following this, the Beast Mortos sadly gets eliminated by Leo Rush, as Darby Allin cracks Brody King over the head with a chair while his head's on the metal steps, sort of like a concerto but with the steps instead. Then Ishii gets eliminated, just bad news after bad news, by Mike Bennett, who then gets eliminated by Cassidy, and then Cassidy gets eliminated by Matt Taven, who Kyle O'Reilly eliminates, who then is eliminated by Roddy Strong, finally. That makes sense? It all happened really quickly. So, just to reiterate, we get Ishii eliminated by Bennett, Bennett eliminated by Cassidy, Cassidy eliminated by Matt Taven, Kyle O'Reilly eliminated by Roddy Strong. Just pretty much continuing their feud conglomeration, Undisputed Kingdom, and they've been going at it for a few weeks now. I feel besides the main title challenge, that was kind of the point of the match, really, more than anything else. After this, Leo Rush and Claudio then fight on the apron, as Claudio swings Leo Rush out at the same time. Brody King eliminates Roddy Strong. I keep calling him Brody Strong. I'm getting Brody King and Roddy Strong mixed up and combining the two names while I'm talking quick. But after this, Jay Lethal nearly eliminates Claudio, but Claudio counters to eliminate him instead. Darby Allin and Brody King then fight on the apron. There I am. It's another wall attacks, guys. I'm sorry. Darby Allin and Brody King fight on the apron as Brody tries to do the choke swing to get him out of the ring, pretty much like he did on Collision, I believe, 2 weeks prior, or something like that. The one where he's like dangling somebody outside of the ring over the apron with the sleeper hold, but is ultimately eliminated by Darby Allin. After this, Hangman Adam Page comes out. He's not in the match or anything. All the participants who are in the match already have been for a while. But he runs out, attacks Jeff Jarrett for helping him Swerve at Blood and Guts, getting his revenge, which leads to Jeff Jarrett's elimination by the hands of Brian Cage, who then begins to fight Claudio on the apron as Claudio hits a Swiss uppercut and a neutralizer onto the apron to eliminate Brian Cage, as he's sort of like dangling onto the ropes, holding on everything like that. So after this, we then are left with Darby Allin, the last entrant on the left side of the ring, and Claudio, the first entrant on the right side of the ring. Which I thought was a really fun sort of like duality between the two here. So pretty much just starts into another match. Claudio launches Darby from one ring to the next, and Darby Allin spills out of the ring as a result, not to be eliminated. Literally, it's like a pounce where he launches him so fucking hard, he nearly falls into the ropes and rolls out of the ring. It looks so cool. Claudio then exits the ring as well. He sets up the metal steps and does the Swiss swing into them, slamming Darby's head into the side of the steps. Following this, Claudio and Darby Allin then fight on the apron as Darby repeatedly tries to bite and claw his way out of Claudio's offense until he gets back in the ring and rakes Claudio's back while he has him into a guillotine chokehold over the ropes, which sets Claudio up while he's dangling over the ropes for the coffin drop onto Claudio's head, winning Darby the match and a world title shot at Grand Slam on the 25th of September, I want to say. I believe it's the 25th of September. Right, not much left to talk about on Rampage now. Following this, we then get a Willow promo backstage, talking about Chris attacking her on Wednesday, saying that she's a backstabber, that she has a match with Willow at Greenville, South Carolina, an eliminator match for the CMLL title, that being next week. Following this, we then get a Chris Statlander versus Lila Gray squash match where Chris wins in 2 minutes with Friday Night Fever because it's Friday Night Rampage. Then we get Lance Archer in action, where Lance is carrying out his opponent Alejandro to the ring as he does his whole entrance. While he launches him into the ring and then just does his entrance. It's fucking sick. He is an insane chokeslam that has to be about like 8 feet high, and then does it again when the fans chant one more time. Lance Archer wins this match in about 1 minute with the blackout while shouting, "Everybody dies." Take a drink here. I've been talking a long ass time. Following this, we then get a Saraya and Haley Cameron promo backstage. I think that's her name, Haley Cameron. With Renee Paquette, where she basically just talks about getting into All In again. Then we have our main event, the Outrunners versus Kyle Fletcher and Roosh. Roosh, new member of the Don Callis family, versus Private Party versus The Righteous. To be honest, there wasn't really much to say about this match. Kyle Fletcher gets the win basically with a tombstone pile driver in pretty much a nothing match. Roosh grabs the camera cable afterwards and attacks Turbo Floyd, whipping him and choking him out. That's the closing angle for Rampage. Just pretty much a nothing match. this was really all just the Royal Rampage. I recommend watching the Royal Rampage. That was actually quite fun. Everything after that, like first half hour though, I just wouldn't bother watching, to be honest. But what I would consider watching is Collision, which aired on July 28th for us on Saturday night. I wouldn't watch the opening match though, which is Orange Cassidy versus Johnny TV with Tyra Valkyrie, Johnny TV's wife. So, this match, to be honest, very, very boring. Cassidy does the hands in pocket spot after stealing Johnny's glasses. And following this, Cassidy does a suicide dive with his hands in the pockets and the glasses still on, miraculously. I don't know how the glasses stay on this whole time. They stay on as he does the suicide dive and steps back up. It's super glue. It has to be. But pretty much the whole first half of the match was very slow, badly paced. Cassidy had to wait for Johnny to hit a spot or a move repeatedly. Really, really hurt the match. To the point where the only other notes I've got is that Cassidy wins after kicking out of a Starship Pain and hitting Johnny TV with a beach break, followed by an orange punch. Then Johnny and Tyra attack Cassidy after the match, but Willow Nightingale comes in to save him, sorry. Yeah, pretty much avoid the match, it was fucking boring. After this, we get a Bang Bang Gang promo backstage where Juice calls Marvin Wayne a conniving hellcat. I think is insane to say to somebody in 2024, but go off, Juice. I love you. And that Juice says they're coming for the patriarchy soon for their AEW tag titles again. Following this, we then get a four-way tag match with Claudio and Wheeler Yuta of the Blackpool Combat Club versus Shane Taylor Promotions, which has Lee Moriarty and Brian Cage, because this is your minutes to skip 5 seconds ahead for Ring of Honor. Shane Taylor Productions gets injured on the Death Before Dishonor. Okay, hopefully you didn't hear that, but then Top Flight... Oh, sorry, not four-way tag, three-way tag. Top Flight with Action Andretti as well are in this match. So that is Dante and Darius Martin. So, again, this whole segment is kind of very fueled with Death Before Dishonor stuff, so just skip a minute ahead, to be honest with you. God, I'm assuming they've done that now, but... So, Wheeler Yuta, the former Ring of Honor Pure Champion, starts the match versus the new Ring of Honor Pure Champion in Lee Moriarty, having just won it the night before at Death Before Dishonor. Quite a fun match, pretty much. Nothing major sort of happened. There were great tag team maneuvers from Top Flight. The Infantry were watching backstage. Obviously, Infantry are big Ring of Honor tag team. Or at least I see them quite a lot in Ring of Honor anyway. After this, Claudio gets tagged in by Dante Martin after Dante Martin is hit by Brian Cage and Lee Moriarty quite a bit. He's hurting, goes to Claudio in desperation, who then proceeds to hit a flurry of European uppercuts on both Brian Cage and Lee Moriarty. They reach him one side of the corner. He runs from corner to corner, does that about 6 times. Looks fucking sick. Then later on, there's a meat showdown with Brian Cage and Claudio, just two slapping each other and all of that, and doing clotheslines. But Top Flight come in, send them both out of the ring, and hit a great double suicide dive, to which Lee Moriarty comes out to also hit a suicide dive. All of this is in vain, though, as Wheeler Yuta gets the win after secretly tagging himself in with Lee Moriarty. He tags himself in. Tags himself in with Lee Moriarty, who doesn't realise it. Hits Moriarty with a dropkick, I believe, and then Wheeler wins, rolling up Darius Martin in a pin. Quite fun storytelling there. I really enjoyed the feud that they've got. I think the Ring of Honor Pure Championship is in great hands with Tiger Style Lee Moriarty. Following this, we then get a conglomeration promo backstage with Willow Nightingale and Cassidy as well. Briscoe says he's got a new member for the conglomeration as he hands Kyle the belt, the Ring of Honor World title belt. Should have said skip ahead there, as he still has it after Death of Honor. I'm going to let you do your imagination and figure out why he still has that belt. But he says, "Hold my baby," as Kyle then proceeds to start throwing up the belt and coddling it like it's an actual baby. I love these two so much. They are such a good comedy duo. Until an actual real-life baby comes out and Mark Briscoe enters his son, Baby Jay, in remembrance to his brother, Jay Briscoe, to enter the conglomeration, who literally does not cry at all. It's insane. Like, he just doesn't shed a tear. He doesn't scream or anything, as Mark Briscoe just goes fucking insane. I thought was great. And speaking of great, or speaking of amazing, actually, we then have a hologram versus the Beast Mortos match. Just randomly in the mid-card. Amazing match. Because out of every match this week, barring Blood and Guts, obviously, this is the one I'd pick out for you to watch. Because it starts super fast with both fighters outmaneuvering each other with just great athleticism and great counter wrestling the whole way through. There's an amazing pounce by Mortos as Hologram spills out under the ropes. He literally nearly launched Hologram through the fucking ropes with this pounce, which you can see more clearly on the replay that's shown afterwards. So cool. Then we get some classic heel lucha stuff where Mortos tries to tear off Hologram's mask repeatedly. Didn't really care for that bit much. What I did care for, though, was Hologram hitting a Canadian Destroyer onto Mortos on the apron. He missed some of it, granted, but it still looks amazing and awesome. After this, Hologram then goes to the top rope and dives off the ropes after walking on them slightly to the outside. Hologram hits a Topo Suicida, but the Beast Mortos catches him, but is literally unable to stop with the momentum as they both start stumbling back rapidly all the way to the foot of the ramp and collapse on each other, which I thought was really fun. Then Hologram then proceeds to try a Tierras from the top rope. I believe that's how you say it. But Mortos catches him, only for Hologram to reverse it into a Poison Rana, which then leads into a insane, counter Hurricane Rana Hologram. What did I just say? What I meant to say is that Hologram does an insane counter Hurricane Rana from the top rope. So he does the top rope, tries to do a Hurricane Rana. Mortos catches him, picks him up, tries to slam him. Hologram gets out of the powerbomb and then hits Mortos with a Crucifix Bomb to get the pin. Sorry, the way that I worded that in my notes was really, really weird and really confusing to say it a day after the fact, trying to remember what happened. But really, really fun match. Highly recommend you go and watch that match. Right the whole way through. Next match is not a great match. It's a very mid match. It's a nothing match. It is Thunder Rosa versus Maya Wilde. What a surprise, this is a nothing match. We get Thunder Rosa appearing more violent and angry after a stolen loss to Deonna Purrazzo, where Tyra Valkyrie, I keep saying Tyra Valkyrie hit her with the turnbuckle. This is last week for the Lumberjack match, to give context as to why she's more aggressive. Thunder Rosa wins the match after a few minutes with a submission. I can't remember what the submission was, sorry. That quickly causes Maya to tap out and says after the match that she's going to drag Deonna's soul into hell and that she's going to punish her. So that part was quite cool. After this, we then have a Lance Archer versus Will Ospreay match get announced for Dynamite just before it cuts to backstage to show Lance Archer killing everybody again, saying that things are going to drastically change and that Ospreay shouldn't be in line for the American title that MJF now holds, as he leaves tons of bodies scattered around the place and says everybody dies. Quite fun. We'll be seeing more of him later. Following this, we then get a three-way tag with or a three-man tag, not a three-way tag, with the Conglomeration, which holds Tomohiro Ishii, Mark Briscoe, and Kyle O'Reilly. They're going up against the Premier Athletes with lawyer Mark Sterling. The Premier Athletes are Tony Nese, Josh Woods, and Ari Daivari. Again, pretty much a nothing match again. The Premier Athletes double down what they did last week on Collision, calling everyone in the Texas Stadium like fat and all of that at a base. They do it again, but Ari Daivari says it this time. Kyle O'Reilly gets attacked by the Premier Athletes outside when he spills out, but Briscoe saves him by setting up a chair in the ring and launches himself over the top rope with the chair. Not with holding the chair, but like steps up onto the chair and jumps off it. Launches himself out of the ring, just taking down everybody there. After this, Ari Daivari holds Kyle to let Tony like suicide dive. But Kyle gets out of the way, so Tony Nese ends up hitting Ari Daivari instead, followed by Mark Briscoe launching himself out the ring to attack Tony Nese, which Kyle eventually wins with the Jujikatami submission hold. Pretty monotonic match, quite boring to be honest. There isn't really much else to say about it. Following this, we then have a Chris Jericho interview with Renee Paquette backstage, saying that Suzuki chopped him over 100 times and broke Jericho's fingers as well. He's currently holding a brace, says he can't do the like high guys without it really hurting. He basically just says he's not finished with Suzuki and he's going to chop him 300 times. And then he proceeds to threaten Shibata as well. Next up, we have Lance Archer returning as he chases his opponent outside of his Tron, outside of his entrance playing. He's chasing his opponent to the ring, which I thought was quite fun. He hits a backbreaker onto the apron, where like pretty much just launches him up onto the apron, and then proceeds to chokeslam the guy 2 times before hitting a blackout, getting the win in about 30 seconds as he calls out Will Ospreay. Obviously, they've had a great match in Japan. They're looking to replicate it here, which I am very excited for. Speaking of very excited, this next match, oh my fucking god, it was everything I wanted it to be. FTR versus the MxM Male Models. They debuted Friday night on Death Before Dishonor, and immediately went on to Collision as well to face FTR. This was perfect. This was everything I wanted this match to be. Every time Mansoor does a move or something, he'll then strike a pose to the camera. He'll strike a pose to the camera into the hard cam. And then Marseille also does the pose, striking to the hard cam on the apron at the same time. It was so fun. And like the camera does like a zoom out, zoom in thing as well. It's really fun. They wrestle a bit more. Cash Wheeler tries to sweep Mansoor's legs, but Mansoor jumps into Marseille's hands to avoid it, as they then tag each other in by touching just the tip. Again, this tag team is incredible. These might be my favorite tag teams ever. I fucking love these. They actually do. They've got really good double tag team with a great double leg drop to FTR by MxM Male Models. Following this, I just wanted to point out as well, FTR look like they're having so much fun wrestling these two. Like you can see it in the match, and like just throughout their like body language and stuff. They look like they're having the time of their lives facing these two. They just like they're having such a fun time, which I'm so happy, man. It is so great to see these. FTR then, not having a fun time, tried to hit a shatter machine seemingly, but Marseille saves Mansoor and calls for timeout. Literally timeout as they roll out of the ring. Have a little conversation as Mansoor shouts, "You bald bastard!" and just starts mouthing off of them. It's just going insane. It was so funny. But after this, Dax doesn't take lightly to that. He comes outside as well. They start brawling. Dax holds Mansoor to the barrier for a fan to chop him, which is quite fun. Then they get back into the ring. MxM Male Models do another great double tag team move where Marseille hits like a backbreaker as Mansoor hits a guillotine leg drop maneuver. I thought was quite fun. The match ends, however, with Dax Hardwood getting a blind tag in for Cash Wheeler that Mansoor doesn't realise happening, which then causes Mansoor to get pinned after a Shatter Machine is hit. This time Marseille can't quite get to the save. The two tag teams show respect to each other as FTR initiate. Just the tip. They literally... That's how I know these four had so much fun, because FTR fucking did the just the tip thing to show respect to MxM Male Models as Marseille is like looking around stunned. I fucking love it so much. But we go from this quite silly fun match to a very serious Acclaimed promo backstage, which honestly amazing promo from Max Caster and Anthony Bowens. Really, I highly recommend you go on this. But pretty much Max saying that he was the MVP, and Bowens saying he doesn't want to hear anything about the Acclaim, not belonging here, not deserving anything, that they don't show up, that they don't nut up, they don't fight, nothing like this. They come here, they deliver every single time, every single week, every single night. Which, to be fair, they absolutely killed it at Blood and Guts. So, thanks to them. Following this, Max Caster says, after beating the Young Bucks twice now, obviously once earlier on, a month or two back, and then now beating them again here as Team Elite, they're now coming for those titles and call out FTR for not being in the match defending AEW, and that it's time to none up or shut up. Seemingly like we're going to get a Acclaimed versus Young Bucks match at Wembley Stadium for the tag belts, which I'll be very happy with. Seemingly as the Acclaimed, Max Caster especially, seemingly like sort of pick up his game a lot, where he's a lot more fun to watch like he used to be. After this, we get to our main event, and I can finally nearly end this over an hour episode. I'm so sorry. This main event is Pac versus Leo Rush. Quite a fun match, to be honest. Main things that happen, there's a slam here sign that a fan has next to the steel steps on the ramp side of the ring. There's been like hinted at a few times, like the camera's pointed to it and stuff. The commentators have commented on it a few times, but Pac is the only one who actually picks up the sign, places it on the ground, is about to slam Leo Rush into it, but then refuses, and classic heel jester. Following this, then, Pac counters a Hurricane Rana with a devastating powerbomb to Leo Rush. Leo Rush responds by hitting two amazing suicide torpedoes, and then hits another great Poison Rana into a bottom rope cutter that nearly gets him the win. I think it's called a bottom rope cutter. He used the bottom rope and then went into a cutter, essentially. I don't know how else to say it or describe it to you, but it doesn't get him the win, unfortunately, because Pac wins with the Brutalizer that keeps Leo Rush in the Brutalizer for about a good 5 or 6 seconds after he taps out, really making a statement saying that he isn't messing around. And that finally ends this week of AEW TV. My God. I am so sorry if this was incoherent, if it was too fast. I tried to get through everything as coherent and fast as I could. But this was just, oh my God, there was so much to go through. So much happened. And to be honest, a lot of really good stuff. Like, obviously, Dynamite, the whole show, I suggest go watch. Just fun all the way around. Even, like, the squash matches were quite fun. Right? Even though, obviously, nothing really happened in them. Rampage, watch the Royal Rampage. Don't watch any of the other matches. There isn't really any point. If you want to watch the promos, you can find them on Twitter easily enough. Then, for Collision, avoid the opener with Cassidy and Johnny TV. Not worth it. The three-way tag with Claudio and Wheeler, Shane Taylor Promotions with Warren Cage filling in, and Top Flight. That was an okay match. You could watch it, you could skip it. Either way, definitely watch the Hologram Beast Mortos match. That was incredible the whole way through. What I would give for a Beast Mortos and Kill Switch tag team. Oh my god, put the tag belts on them for 5 years. The Thunder Rosa Maya World match, skip. The Conglomeration Premier Athletes match, skip. Unless you want to watch these people, of course, then by all means. FTR versus the MxM Models, 100% watch. I fucking love this tag team. I want them tag belts immediately. Tony Khan, book it at Wembley now. The Acclaimed promo, definitely go and watch that. And then the Pac and Leo Rush match, you could watch it, you could not watch it. It's that is the other thing I nearly forgot to mention. So Battle of the Belts happened after this recording. Not after this recording, after Collision aired, sorry. And there's two things that happened on there that I want to talk about quickly. Tony Storm's amazing promo delivery after a match. Basically just saying to Mariah May, if you want to stop me, you should have beheaded me when you had the chance. And also Dustin Rhodes with the Von Erich Sons winning the Ring of Honor triple tag belts, which is really nice and fun moment for them. I'm really happy that we actually get to see them win some belts. And I also believe it is Dustin Rhodes' first belt in AEW, or it might not be. Can't remember. But regardless, that has been AEWeekly for this week. Thank you very much if you've watched half of this episode. Thank you very much, because I know it's going to be oh my god. I want them to keep putting on banger after banger week, because again, this week was another fucking banger week. There's so much. But regardless, thank you very much for watching. I will see you next week for yet another banger week, hopefully. Bye-bye.